Hi everyone. This week we've got Owen on the show, and we're going to be talking about Help to Buy ending soon, alternatives, and is there more needed to bridge the gap? Before we do anything useful, Owen, can I have a quick introduction from you, please?
Yeah, hi. So I'm Managing Director at Countrywide Land and New Homes, now part of the Connells Group. I've worked in the industry since 1988, and obviously throughout that, I've seen all sorts of different parts of the market.
I bet. Owen, my first question for you is, what are the potential ramifications for new home sales with Help to Buy ending soon?
Okay, so interesting one, Lee. I think the biggest change is going to be the affordability for people to be able to actually get on the initial rung of the property ladder. We saw Help to Buy remove the option for buying for home movers, obviously a little while ago. So it's very much been focused recently on first-time buyers. But when you look at the number of transactions in the new home sector that went to first-time buyers using Help to Buy as opposed to first-time buyers not using Help to Buy, I think it's a real worry as to how people are going to be able to, literally get on that first rung of the ladder without some sort of support. So the impact is going to be, firstly, a reduction in the number of sales.
Yep.
That's highly likely, before you take into account any of the other economic problems that we're facing at the minute. But secondly, just in a slightly more sort of humanitarian level, I'm thinking, well, actually, how do young people even make those first steps now? It's not just about the transaction volumes dropping. It's going to have that big impact in real world terms, which will have obviously then a knock on, because those people won't be moving into their second home, into their third home, and so on and so on. So the whole thing could slow down quite a bit.
No, I can see that, and I want to ask you on the sort of, what are the current alternative schemes to Help to Buy that make viable substitutes?
Probably the one that is becoming more and more important, and certainly we're seeing huge increase in volume, is shared ownership. So that's not explicitly for first-time buyers. You can use that as a home mover as well, but the first-time buyer market is where we see the majority of those transactions, perhaps for reasons that are fairly obvious. So to go into a situation, certainly in some of the higher priced areas of the country, where the average wage versus average house price just gives you absolutely no chance of getting that straight out and out purchase. So to take, for example, where I am now, is probably a £27,000 a year average salary, £350,000 average house price. A 2-bedroom brand new terraced house, £300,000. So you've got to go some. If you're buying that as a single parent or something, you've got literally no chance. So shared ownership will be that route into that, and we've seen an increase probably from maybe 3 years ago to now of about 400%. Wow. In terms of the number of transactions that we're putting through our books on shared ownership.
That is a huge number.
Yeah, it's big.
And I can see that, as you're saying, about the difference between the amount that you can borrow versus the average, and seeing that, and you have, say, X amount of percent of the house. I can see how that's made such a huge increase over the last few years. I really can.
Well, you can get into that from as little as about 25% of the property value. So you're buying 25%, you effectively rent the other 75%.
Yep.
You have the opportunity to staircase. So over a period of years, you can increase the share that you have. You don't have to go straight in, and stick at that level of whatever it is, 25% or so on. The average is probably about 45%, if you were to pick it, although typically you'd be buying at 40, 50, 60, 70%, but an average works out probably about 45. And a lot of people don't staircase. They just use their opportunity then to build deposit for their next purchase by seeing, what you would hope, some property value growth, and therefore they're able to take out a larger amount than they put in the first place, enabling them to go on and make a second purchase as and when. But yeah, it's becoming very popular.
Some huge numbers there, Aaron. And I want to ask you, do you think there's more needed to bridge the gap for first-time buyers, in terms of like support schemes and things from the government bringing to replace the Help to Buy?
Well, there's a few things coming through now, things like First Home and so on, which a limited number of developers are on board with now, and an even smaller number of lenders are supporting as well. Will that grow legs? Maybe. Maybe as more and more people face the reality of not being able to use things like Help to Buy. But actually, it's going to be sorely missed, and I think the next Prime Minister is going to have a problem on their hands, and realistically, they're probably going to have to find something that's a bit more robust than the ideas they're talking about now around first home and those sorts of things, and probably get back to something much closer to Help to Buy.
Well, Owen, thank you so much for coming on the show. I think there's some great numbers in there with the 400% increase over the last few years, and thank you for your insights.
No worries.